one. Part two is the border. The border is, this is not even immigration. This is mass migration. Mass, 5,000 to 6,000 people a day. Now, according to the border czar, Kamala Harris, of, the border czar says, oh no, the border's secure. The border, not our border, but she claimed 5,000 to 6,000 people a day are coming. God, listen, this morning before I came here, I always go to the spot, and the reason why I go there is because you hear everything. It's this Cuban spot in South Florida, and the people behind the counter, and so the people that are buying, and it's just a real world, and you just hear, you pick up so much. And one of the guys comes up to me and says, you know what we got to do? What's happening now is people are bringing their relatives and they're paying these traffickers $8,000 using Zelle and whatever those things. Think about it. So it's created a whole new industry of human trafficking and drugs pushing into our country. And these people think it's all under control, and they're inviting people to come that way. They're inviting it. Because today, if you cross the border, all you got to do is say these magic words about that trigger amnesty, that trigger asylum, and they give you a paper. It's called a notice to appear, or a promise to appear. You promise to appear. So this is true, guys. This is what happens. I want you to understand what happens. You come in, you do the magic words, they give you the promise to appear, and they ask you, what is your mailing address? So understand, these people just came from like 18 countries away. Everything they own is in a backpack, and you're asking them what their address is. So obviously the logical answer is, well, I don't have one in America yet. I just got here illegally, as you know, because I turned myself into you for this paper. And they're like, well, we'll just write, and they make one. They make them up. They literally make up an address. They make up an address. And so we have this huge surge. And so they say, well, don't worry. It's only 1% of them have a criminal record. And I think to myself, well, what criminal record? So 1% based on the criminal record-keeping system of Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Mexico, the Venezuelan regime. I don't trust their criminal record-keeping. But if it's 1%, then that means over the last 22 months, over 45,000 people with a criminal record have entered the United States unlawfully. You think about it. Over 4.6 million people have entered the United States. That's 4 times the size of my opponent's congressional district. 4.6 million people. That's what's happening every day, and they're allowing it, they're inviting it, they're luring it, they're encouraging it, they're celebrating it. And you know why? Because the people that are for this don't have to deal with the consequences of it. And that to them, let them all come in. Let's all be compassionate. Let everybody come in. Let's invite people to come in illegally. And they're all for it. Because that's an Arizona problem. That's a Florida problem. That's a Texas problem. That's a New Mexico problem. Until 48 people land in Martha's Vineyard. Then 48 people land. So, and look, I'm not claiming that we're going to be able to solve this thing 48 people at a time. But it was very revealing. I learned a lot. Here's what I learned. They land, 48 people land, 48 people. The state of Massachusetts declares a state of emergency. Immediately. And they mobilize 105, 112 National Guardsmen. So now we got a 2-to-1 ratio going of guardsmen. So then the laptop liberals of Martha's Vineyard, they open up some community center. And they invite the cameras. Come see how compassionate we are. Because these are the people that have the signs on the yard. In this house, we respect science. You know that? I don't even know what all that sign says. You know the sign I'm talking about? Maybe they don't have too many of them around here, but I've seen them, guys. So they love this. They love to show the do-gooders and how kind and compassionate they are. And the cameras film everything. And look how we're taking care of them. We're giving toys to the kids that are here, all this. Okay. And then the cameras leave. And the next day they deport 48 people to Cape Cod. They deport them. But they slipped, because when the cameras were there, they talked to a few people, and they said, well, why can't they just stay here? And they're like, oh, no. We have a housing crisis in Martha's Vineyard. We have a housing crisis, We can't possibly tolerate it. But the hypocrisy is this. Yeah, it's very easy. If you're a laptop liberal living in one of these affluent communities far, far away, you don't have to deal with it. You probably live in a community that has a wall, and a community that has a guard at the gate that asks you for your ID before you enter. They don't want you to have an ID for voting, but to go in their neighborhood, you must show ID. And so, the result of it is that you expose the hypocrisy. This needs to change. No country in the world can tolerate it. No country in the world would allow this. No country in the world does allow it. And we shouldn't either. And yet that's what this administration's done, and it's unabated. And it'll only continue. The third is crime, and we're blessed. Crime exists everywhere. And the crime in this country, there are cities that are unlivable hellscapes. It's not me, I don't have to live there, but I hear it all the time. From people that used to work there, People are afraid to go into the city in New York, into Manhattan, because you don't know if some freak is going to jump out of an alley somewhere and attack you or push you into a subway or kill you. It happens all the time. And they're like, well, we don't know. This must be happening because, who knows why. I said, I know why. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. Crime has always existed, and that's why we had police departments and prosecutors and laws. But if you tell people the police department is evil, the prosecutors say we're not prosecuting anyone, and you have politicians like the border czar, Kamala Harris, raising money to bail people out when they torch police cars, you're going to have more crime. And that's what's happened, and it's ruined this country in many of these cities, and that's what they want for the country. That's what they want for America. We're never going to tolerate it. We're never going to allow it. We have to ensure that in this election, these people don't remain in power. And